All right, Obi-Wan Kenobi. What can I say about this show that has not already been said, huh? Um, I guess I'll start with like I guess where I rank it amongst the Star Wars series that have come to Disney Plus. Um, I enjoyed it more than the Book of Boba Fett because I finished it, but I did not enjoy it nearly as much as The Mandalorian because I was dreading every episode. And then Bad Batch, haven't watched it because I never finished Clone Wars. Yeah, so I guess it's in between those two. I don't really have much to say in the way of a review of the show. Um, it's watchable, but it's also so incredibly anachronistic in the Star Wars timeline and the canon. Um, for a couple of reasons. The first thing I want to say though is that this this show has the same problem as Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness and the Lightyear film that just came out, where the plot is essentially only possible because every central character is a dumbass. Um, what am I thinking about? So basically the whole plot starts because Riva, the third sister, has an act. Spoilers, by the way, has an axe to grind against Obi-Wan because Obi-Wan did not stop Anakin from killing a bunch of younglings, all of her friends, and nearly killing her. So she wants to draw him out, and I guess she thinks that by killing him as an Inquisitor, she'll get into Darth Vader's good graces so she can get close to him because she knows that Anakin is Darth Vader. Somehow, sure. Maybe she recognizes the lightsaber hilt design. um, she figures that she'll be able to get close to Vader and kill him and get revenge for all of her friends. Okay. Um, so she kidnaps Leia because she read in the archives that Bail Organa and Obi-Wan Kenobi have a close relationship. Although I don't get the sense that like Obi-Wan's survival of episode 3 was like common knowledge in the Empire, because I feel like they would have been hunting him very intently for a very long time. Like the level of peace that he lives in at the beginning of this show and at the beginning of episode 4 is just kind of like that doesn't match up with the idea that the Empire is fully aware that this man is alive. Same with Yoda. I'm sure that Palpatine would have hidden the fact that these two Jedi survived the Purge, but whatever. I don't make the rules. I want to talk a little bit about Reva though. This has nothing to do with Moses Ingram as an actor. Her character is written really strangely because she somehow survived getting stabbed with a lightsaber as a child, which is the same type of injury that kills most people. Well, I guess not because the Grand Inquisitor survived it. It killed Qui-Gon and Han Solo though, so I don't know what the rules are. But then she survived it again. She also she wasted a really good opportunity to go after Vader because in episode 5 when he's like pulling on the ship to keep it from taking off, why not just attack him right then? Why wait until after all that? Whatever. I get it because it just would have been better if he was busy fighting her and that's how the ship got away. But that would require writers that are, you know, at least halfway competent. Um, but yeah, she's doing all of this to get to Vader, and it's just like I feel like you've had opportunities before now to kill Vader. All this time you've been an Inquisitor. I don't know what the point of her killing the Grand Inquisitor was, other than like the way that he was talking down to her and like stifling her, I guess. But after she fails to kill Vader and nearly gets killed again, which I don't know why Vader wouldn't just like cut her head off He's done stuff like that before. She finds out that Vader has a kid on Tatooine. I guess she figures out that Leia and Luke are both Vader's kids. And her idea is to go to Tatooine and kill Luke, but what is that supposed to mechanically do? Like, it won't avenge your fallen allies because, like, they Luke didn't even exist at the time. Like, it's not a serve, right? Because Vader doesn't know that he has kids, so killing Vader's child that he doesn't know about won't accomplish anything. Like, I'm sure he'll be a bit upset when he finds out, like, hey, your kids survived, by the way, and Reva just killed one of them. It's like, oh, damn. But, like, that's just gonna make him a more powerful Sith, so I really don't get the idea behind that. Also, her going after Luke is kind of silly because, like, that would be Luke's, like, first encounter with the Empire, like his first memory of the Empire. But in episode 4, he wants to join the Empire so that he can be a pilot. That's a little remembered detail, but, you know. Why is my camera doing what it's doing? Wanna chill? Wanna relax? Anyway. But she only is able to find that out because Obi-Wan stupidly gives Haja the transmitter that has a message that Bail stupidly sent Obi-Wan, where he's like, hey, I haven't heard from you guys in a while. If I continue to not hear from you, I'll head to Tatooine and look after the boy. Because he can't find them. But the way he's talking about Vader, it's like he knows that that's Anakin. So how would everybody know that Darth Vader is Anakin Skywalker except Obi-Wan? Speaking of that, I think this show moves A, incredibly slow, but B, way too fast, if that makes any sense. Like, Obi-Wan should not have found out that Vader was Anakin in the second episode of the show. That should have been like episode 4, episode 5 type shit, you know what I mean? Also, him just being told by Reva is one of the worst ways that information could have possibly been delivered to him. What I would have liked is if, like, because I didn't think that this rescue Leia plot was going to be the whole plot of the show, because that's kind of silly, right? But I get it, because it's like, oh, well, Leia knows about Ben Kenobi, she asks for his help specifically, so obviously they've had some sort of encounter before. It's like, yeah, but I didn't expect this to be the whole show. Like, Luke, who, you know, lives on the same planet as Obi-Wan, in the show for all of 10 minutes, maybe. But, what was I thinking about? If you want to do this whole thing and have Reva take her to Vader's castle, basically on Mustafar, or no, his castle's on Mustafar. They take her to a castle on Nur where the Inquisitors are born. Do that and have Vader show up there because he knows that Obi-Wan is alive. And he has reason to believe, because Reva has reason to believe, that Obi-Wan will be on Nur if they wait long enough. Have Obi-Wan arrive, or have Vader arrive, and Obi-Wan's like, I sense a very familiar presence, but like twisted. It feels like Anakin Skywalker, but that can't be possible because Anakin's dead. I killed him. Out walks Darth Vader. Obi-Wan realizes, oh shit, the most dangerous Jedi-killing Sith Lord of all time is my friend Anakin. Whoops. Right? Like, I feel like, because then you don't rely on exposition, and you don't leave people wondering for like 3 weeks how this character could possibly know that Anakin is Darth Vader. It clears up a lot of stuff. Also, they fight too many times in the show. How many times do they fight in the show? Twice. That's too many. Because in episode 4, A New Hope, Vader is like, when I left you, I was but the learner, now I am the master. And it's like, are you referring to episode 3, or like the last time you had a skirmish on some random fucking dirt planet? Like, what are you actually referring to? It's cool watching Vader be so imposing and aggressive in combat, but I just don't think he and Obi-Wan needed to fight that many times. Especially in the second fight, because Obi-Wan has the advantage multiple times. He somehow levels up. Like, he becomes like a Super Saiyan or something like that over the course of this fight, which is interesting enough to me, I guess. But he, like, while he's fighting Vader, he, like, bashes his, like, control panel that's on his chest with the backside of his hilt and damages it, why not stab him? Why not just kill him? Because letting him live is how we got in this mess in the first place. But it's forgivable last time because it's like the last time you saw him, the man was on fire and had no limbs. What are the odds that he would still be alive, right? That's understandable. But this time, it's like, well, I know that he can survive some crazy shit. I should like cut his head off, or something. I should at least stab him or something. But he doesn't do that. He cuts the mask open, looks at his face, which is the same thing as Ahsoka did. So that felt kind of reductive and derivative of its own material. Disney is, they have a couple ideas when it comes to Star Wars. And it's funny because I've seen a bunch of people point out like the parallel between Anakin's face being revealed by Ahsoka and Obi-Wan, but everybody thinks it's some sort of like poetic thing. I'm like, no, it feels like a ripoff of itself. Anyway. So yeah, Obi-Wan somehow just overpowers Darth Vader, which is impossible. It's absolutely impossible. He beats him up pretty bad, then he just leaves him there. And then you don't hear Imperial March for the first time in the show until after Vader has had his ass handed to him by a Jedi who hasn't trained or fought in 10 years. So that's cool. There's also some really goofy things that happened in the show. Like when Leia was being captured in the first episode and she was just like juking and jiving all those guys, and like they were running into like branches and they're like, oh, we can't go after her anymore. Or in episode 4 when they were smuggling her out under the coat. And it's funny because like people will defend scenes like this in some of the weirdest ways that I've ever seen. It's like, well, Star Wars has always been a little bit silly. Remember when the stormtrooper dunked his head on the way out of the door? It's like, yeah, that's a blooper that they left in, though. This isn't, like, yes, Star Wars has always been silly. Like, some of the things that happen in A New Hope are kind of goofy. But it doesn't, like, break your immersion. It's not that type of silly. That stuff doesn't start happening until, like, episode 8. So, I don't really think that that's, like, a good metric to defend that. But I also, going back, I recognize that a lot of you guys are probably like, well, he obviously didn't kill Vader because canon. It's like, yeah, but then they don't need to be fighting. If neither of them is allowed to take any significant damage, it feels like the fight that you're watching is pointless. Especially because by the time the show is over, just about every character ends exactly where they began. Like, you don't really feel any growth in anybody outside of maybe Ariva and Leia. Obi-Wan's wearing a different color now, and he's not, like, living in a cave, but he'll end up living in a cave again eventually anyway. And he's still on the run from the Empire, which is crazy because he's like, oh, we're both free now. I'm like, free from what? The Empire still wants you dead, brother. Like, you're not free as shit. It's very, very strange. The Qui-Gon Force Ghost at the end is cool, but I didn't think that he could do that because of what happens in Clone Wars, where like you can hear his voice on that one planet, but he can't just like appear wherever he wants as a Force Ghost. But maybe he can. I don't fucking know. I guess he can because the show said that he can. So Merry Christmas, I suppose. I don't know. It didn't really feel like there was a need to get Joel Edgerton back to play Owen because he's only in the show for about a half hour. I don't know, like I don't dislike the way that Leia was portrayed in the show. I mean, she's a spoiled rich white girl, so her personality makes sense in the show. But man, I do not enjoy the plot being driven forward by such stupidity over and over again. Like when the girl blew herself up with the fucking thermal detonator. Didn't need to do that. Could have thrown it. Yeah, she had been shot, but I mean, later in that same episode, somebody gets stabbed through the abdomen with a lightsaber and just kind of walks it off. So that doesn't really matter that much. I don't know. It felt like it should have been a film. That probably would have been a lot better. There's some cool elements. Like there's some really cool shots. The fight choreography. Honestly, I don't know how the fight choreography was because it was edited to shit. But the fucking the color grading was cool, I guess. I don't know. I felt nothing watching most of the show except for anger. Like Vader just letting Obi-Wan escape in episode 3 makes no sense to me. I thought it was really goofy when Vader strikes his lightsaber and Obi-Wan just tucks tail and starts running. That looked really silly. Um I don't know. The show just kind of serves to make Obi-Wan look like a dumbass at every possible turn and doesn't do much beyond that. Uh if I were to put the show on a scale of 1 to 10, it's like maybe a 5.5. I don't know. Like I said, it's entertaining enough, I guess. Or when they were trying to get past that like laser fence gate thing, but all they had to do was go around it because it didn't go very wide. All that being said, what did you guys think of Obi-Wan Kenobi? Did you like it? Anyway, all that out of the way. That's all I have for you today. I'll see you later.